What's up, guys? Welcome back to the CoinBros, and I am Pinky. I am your guide through the greatest industry in the world. On a daily basis, I'm gonna give you guys the brief, the breakdown. Make sure you like, subscribe. And today is pretty I wouldn't say exciting, but there's a lot of news happening today that can really affect the market. And one of the most important stories, I have like 3 or 4 stories here that I looked up, and personally, I think the most important story we're gonna start with. First off, Bitcoin touched like 76K last night. We've been talking about that 74 range, which we want to break and crack through. It ripped up to like 76, came back down to like 74. We're like in that range. We're looking to like stabilize over 74.5 because then we have a clear path past 80. Obviously, that's what everybody wants. But, the news today will kind of dictate that, right? So first stories, I'm going to pull this up. And so we have like rate cuts tomorrow, right? Or not, right? So we have Powell is going to be making announcements on what's going to happen with the rate cuts, with the oil, if there's any cuts or anything, right? So there's 2 scenarios. And I would, obviously there's one better than the other for crypto, but here, let me read it to you guys. All right. So, Fed mechanics. The FOMC meeting starts today, day 1. So it's day 1 today, and then we'll have a decision by tomorrow, I think around 2:00, right? And it says that the Powell press conference all drop tomorrow, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So that would be like 11 o'clock my time. So it's actually in the morning. So that's good. 99.1% odds of a hold at 3.5 or 3.75. The rate decision is not the trade. So it's saying like you don't want to dictate your trade on this rate decision, right? Because there's a very good chance that we already know what's going to happen, right? But there's other scenarios, right? So if there is some cuts, right? So if there is 2 cuts signaled, oil equals temporary BTC rip to 80K. So if there is some form of cuts, then we could see Bitcoin rip past 80K as soon as tomorrow. We might see it have a crazy spike. If nothing really happens and like what we think is going to happen, it'll probably bounce around sideways and maybe dump a little bit. But anytime there's like Fed meetings and like the whole industry, regardless of Bitcoin or crypto or like stocks, that all matters a lot, right? So we'll see what happens tomorrow. And then the other thing that could be super bullish, right? A lot of people don't like Powell. I'd say the majority of people don't like him. They want him out of office. So his term expires May 2026. That's only 2 months away, right? So this could be his last hearing where he even has any power, right? So that's kind of bullish if you don't like him and you want to see a change. Like this could be the last time we hear from him about rate cuts or any of this stuff. So, a lot of people's eyes, that could be bullish. That could be a buy signal. A lot of people might start buying because they know like whatever happens tomorrow, it's like it's the start of a new era, right? We'll have someone else in and hopefully it's better for crypto, but we'll see what happens though. So that's, interesting news. Top movers today, XRP is up 3%, ETH's up 2%, Bitcoin's like even around 1%. A coin that ripped today, not in the big coins, it's a big coin, but not a major, right? It's PEPE. If you know PEPE, if it's a meme coin that was the biggest runner of the cycle, it ripped like almost 20% today. So just saying, in the bear market, meme coins, they tend to make really big moves. And PEPE going up 20%, that's a big jump, right? Because it's one of those coins in the billions. I think it ran up well over 10 billion in the bull run when it was, peaking. So a 20% jump is like, in the billions, right? So a lot of people are buying PEPE right now. And it's a good look for the degens, right? We wanted like meme coins, they blew up this cycle and everybody's trading them. Everybody I know in the industry is trading them. And it's good to see PEPE rip because it's the big dog. It's like PEPE, this cycle is like Bitcoin, to the big alts. Like PEPE is like meme coins, Bitcoin, right? So it's good to see that. What else we got here? They're saying the Fed's in an impossible position. There's, with the war, we have a lot going on with that. So here's another story. South Korea fines Bithumb 24 million 6-month partial suspension. South Korea hit Bithumb with a $24 million fine and a 6-month partial. I don't know what partial suspension means. That obviously means they're not completely shut down, but 6.65 million KYC and anti-money laundering violations. What a surprise. We got exchanges doing shady stuff, right? Pretty normal. A lot of crackdowns. Exchanges, it's funny, anytime the cycles kind of die down, you start seeing a lot of exchanges start, seeing scrutiny and things happening. Because let's be real, man, there's a lot of shady stuff that goes on behind the scenes, especially with these massive exchanges. And there's always something you can get them for. And looks like they're cracking down on a few of them. I don't necessarily care because I think at the end of the day, most exchanges are shady. And I think the industry will be much better when you don't have to depend on centralized exchanges, right? Anytime you have that kind of money and power and influence and you can manipulate, it's, people are people. They're always going to do things to line their pockets. And the faster we get to peer-to-peer transactions and you don't need to use big exchanges, although you can if you want, do whatever you want. But like the sooner you don't need to, I think the better for the entire space. So usually they get what they deserve a lot of times, these exchanges, but whatever. Some more story. If you're into LayerZero, there's a huge unlock. So, they did a massive airdrop with LayerZero. There's a lot of people invested in that token, and they're doing 173 million in token unlocks this week. So usually that means you're going to see a big dump. That means people are going to sell whenever they're giving out tokens to everybody that are waiting for their unlock. People don't, a vast majority are going to sell their tokens for profit, right? It just makes sense. So if you do hold LayerZero, be ready for that. It's coming this week. It's pretty common sense, right? Meme coin watch signal, PEPE surging. Trump is still elevated from the gala announcement. So the Trump coin, which was probably one of the biggest coin of the year, with Trump, did a meme coin around up to like 65 billion. Insane, right? And it just completely nuked down to like a billion because there's nothing connected to it. So everybody just eventually sold out. But they're doing a gala, right? I think it's Marcialago. And if you're a top holder, I don't know exactly what, but you get to meet Trump, right? So there's a lot of people buying the coin because they want to meet Trump. And usually after they meet Trump, the coin gets dumped or whatever, right? So we saw a big surge in Trump, which is nice to see, but reality is probably going to dump back down unless they connect something to it. Maybe he makes an announcement and they say they're doing something with the coin, or just give people some reason to hold, right? You got to give people some reason, even if it's just him talking about it, it'll make them hold. But if he doesn't say anything and it's literally just buy the coin so you can meet me and that's it, then you're probably going to see a big dump on that. And it already came down a bit. So yeah, that's it. So the biggest news of the day is let's see what happens tomorrow if we get rate cuts, if we get any of that stuff, right? Because that will dictate the immediate price impact. But at the end of the day, it's all short term, right? We all know where it's headed. And, we'll have a good view of which direction we're going to go for a little bit tomorrow. If we dump hard, we go back in the 60s, we might chop there for a bit. If we rip up to the 80s, so we get surprised, and we also have that extremely bullish signal that hasn't happened in, 5 months. And usually Bitcoin takes a sharp spike upward. So we'll see what happens. It's interesting. So be on the lookout tomorrow for the price action on Bitcoin. Markets will follow depending on which direction it goes. There's a lot going on with the war. The world's, uncertain about a lot of things, but there's you got to keep your eye on it. We'll let you guys know tomorrow. On the meme coin side of things, DGen side, there's meme coins popping off all day. I've been trading nonstop. Nothing big, nothing crazy, but just to stay in the game and keep that blade sharpened. I've been trading and trenching a lot, but it's good to see PEPE ripping. And yeah, I'm gonna take the kids today, go to the museum, hang out, have a dad's day. You guys be nice to each other, much love, and we will be back tomorrow with your daily brief, and we will be the guide through the best industry in the world. Much love, guys. Like, subscribe.